dialogue, the Menopause Dialogue. Hashtag you and me, sharing, living, loving freely.
Here's a question for you. Would you pour a bottle of chlorine bleach onto your sanitary napkins? I didn't think so. So make the switch to 100% all-natural, bleach-free sanitary napkins today.
We're live, Patrice!
We are?
We are live. Yes, we are live.
That's menopause. Excuse me. Hi, I'm Patrice.
And hi, I am Shay, and welcome to Menopause, the Dialogue.
That was I don't know what just happened. Please.
Yeah, that was definitely a moment. So our show really is all about, it's a year-long show where we actually go on a journey with the female, menopausal journey from start to finish. And this show is all about educating you, empowering you, and also providing the tools to help you to really take that experience and take all of the opportunities that you have to embark on this menopausal journey. And our hashtags are Sisters Share, hashtag you and me.
And on the second and fourth Monday of every Monday at 6 p.m. we begin sharp. And we are encouraging you, sisters, let's take another sister's hand and share this journey with her. The menopause journey is one that is not the easiest, but when we do it together, it makes life that much more easier.
Yeah.
And today, Shay, we are going to be addressing the topic of weight loss and what that looks like and how that looks different for you and me, each of us. Aging causes our body's capacity to change. Muscle turns into fat. And muscle burns more energy than fat. So as we age, we are burning less calories. And the fact is, it is that much harder to lose weight as we age. When you were 20 and you go in the gym for 1 hour and let's say you burn 500-600 calories, you do that at 40, 50, and 60. I'm sorry, it won't be 500-600 calories, and I don't have the facts, but it may be about 200-300 calories. But that is the sad fact. And the thing is, weight loss by itself is difficult. But to pile on menopause for a female 40 plus, it can make weight loss feel impossible, exhausting, and very discouraging.
Yeah.
And especially for us ladies, our weight comes around the middle section, in our hips and in our thighs. And unfortunately, it is what we have to live with. Now, a 2016 World Health Organization Bahamian mortality survey stated that 72.4% of the Bahamian females are overweight. I want you to marinate on that. That's nearly 3/4 of the Bahamian population, female population, overweight.
So this includes children, young children as well, females.
Females, yes. 72.4%. And then it further states that 43.2% of the female population in the Bahamas are obese. Many women, we go through this experience putting on this weight. We don't understand what's going on. And I'm talking especially now about the weight during the menopausal journey. We don't understand what's going on. The experience is difficult. It's real. Yet, because of the lack of knowledge, sometimes it feels like you're fighting an unseen enemy.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, or fortunately, today we have topics like the Menopause Dialogue, or I'm sorry, shows like the Menopause Dialogue that helps us to take each other's hand and help you to take you through the journey. And Shay, before we even go into the fishbowl, we just talk about the problem, the weight.
Yeah.
What role does hormones play in this weight
Whole
gain?
weight thing, right?
Yes.
So let's say everything, okay? We're going to break that down though. But when we look at hormones, Patrice, hormones play a significant role. It determines how we burn our fat. It determines where we burn our fat. It even determines how fat is broken down. It also even determines when you get hungry or not. You know, all those sugar cravings and cravings for carbs. This is the roles that hormone plays in the body. And when we look at men and women, particularly because we're talking about menopause and perimenopause, when we experience that decline in estrogen and progesterone, and these sex hormones are also helping us be responsible for the weight part of it. Because of decline, now we have to now look at the other hormones that are affecting us as well. And so when we look at hormones on a totality, they have a significant role in how we lose our weight, Patrice. So we can't bypass hormones anymore, especially for the mature female and male.
We can't escape it. We can't escape it. And as we talk about hormones, one of the things, I know that there are a few hormones that are in particular that really are zooming on this weight. Let's talk about some of those hormones.
Yeah, Patrice, you know, when we talk about menopause, we are always talking particularly about those sex hormones, estrogen and progesterone, right? But when we talk about the weight, there are other hormones that are involved, you know, the metabolic hormones, we have the fat burning hormones, we have the fat storage hormones, we have we have the stress hormones, we have all of these different types of hormones. And we're going to break that down today because when we look at these hormones, sometimes people, particularly the mature men and women, when we're addressing weight loss, we don't often see the separation of addressing them.
Yes,
addressing them. Yes. So let's go to our fishbowl then.
Okay. Woo! Let's go to the second question. The first question, we finished with the first question about hormones. Our first question is how do we address hormones and weight loss as one target?
Right.
So, and let me just say here, Shay is a nutritional coach, and no better person than Shay Coach to lead us in this part of this journey. I can tell you, Shay has been coaching me as well, and because of Shay's advice and Shay's help and her example, I have been able to follow her like she's following Christ. But yes, how do we address hormones and weight loss as a target?
So let me say this, put your seatbelt on, because the first thing I want to say is we don't address them as one.
Okay.
We don't. We have to come away from the old school of thought where we think we have to lose weight to get healthy versus getting healthy, balancing your hormones, and then putting your body in a position to release weight naturally. We have to separate the two. And so when we look at hormones particularly, let's look at sleep. For instance, if you are struggling with your sleep patterns, you have a difficulty sleeping, and you find yourself not losing weight, don't address not losing weight. Don't change the way you're eating. Don't change the diet. Address the sleep. And when it comes to the hormonal changes, because we're talking particularly today to the mature male and female, and the difficulty it is when it comes to losing weight, the focus has to now start, and the shift has to change, and the focus has to go more on the hormonal understanding, that balance, and how to actually to shift the weight. Now, even Patrice, when we think about hormones and weight loss, one of the main reasons for separating it is because most of the times when we have symptoms from weight loss, it tells me right away there is an imbalance in the hormones, and we immediately will switch from one type of diet to the other instead of thinking of, all right, let me see if I need to correct any of the symptoms that is actually happening because the imbalance in the hormones. And so when we talk about connecting those two, we have to separate them and look first at hormonal balance to get you to release the weight versus vice versa.
Okay, and so in losing this weight, okay, and I want to take our listeners down this path now. We talk about the weight, the problem. Now we talked about the connection of the weight as the hormones.
Right.
Now, from the hormones then, and it leads to our second question as far as nutrition is concerned. How do we make that transition from, okay, all this weight, we're separating the weight from the hormone, then what is the next step that we need to do nutritionally?
Well, the first thing is recognize the symptoms that are happening with your body and tie them into, this is why I'm not losing weight. That's the first thing we do. And when, as we talk about some of the symptoms that are related to menopause and perimenopause, like not being able to have sufficient sleep, find it very difficult to lose weight, you find yourself gaining weight in this area, in this section. 9 out of 10 times these are hormonal deficiencies and they are directly related to weight loss. So the first thing you want to do is not necessarily change your diet, but change the nutritional protocol of how you eat.
Yes.
And one of the first things I do when I'm talking to my clients that I'm coaching is I start to look at the quality of their food. That is one of the first things that we do. When we break down the quality of their food, that's one of the first things. Then we start to look at how often they are eating their food.
Yes.
So there's a step-by-step systematic approach when it comes to approaching weight loss through balancing their hormones. But one of the things we have to now tie in and understand is if we find ourselves not being able to sleep, you find yourself getting 3 to 4 hours sleep some nights, and you find yourself within a 7 to 10 day period just gaining weight, you have to now look at addressing the sleep issue in order for that hormone to be balanced. That stress hormone, that cortisol, that's a stress hormone, and that is that when you tie in the stress of the ups and the downs, dealing with all of the issues, the hormones become out of whack and they become imbalanced, and so immediately you have to address. You remember those issues with the times when you were not sleeping?
Oh yes, I could tell you about that stress hormone.
Yes.
In fact, what was described to me was my cortisol pump was turned on and wouldn't turn off. The fight or flight. And then what I learned was that the cortisol is a steroid. Is our body's steroid. It's a steroid the body produces. And that cortisol manages our metabolism. And so as long as that pump is turned on, you will see, I promise you, you will see yourself expanding and expanding. And Shay is right. What I had learned during that time also was that because I wasn't sleeping, that had happened. And because that had happened, because the cortisol was pumping, my fight or flight, it was, my body wasn't relaxing or coming down enough for me to sleep. And so I was told, you are like, you're running just round and round.
In a marathon.
Yeah. And until you get that cortisol thing down under control, more or less, then you won't be able to sleep. So it was, and for me, well, I'm sure you'll talk about that. I had to do some things nutritionally. And that's one of the things I want to say to people. We can handle it nutritionally. I did. Out of desperation, I did, because I was refusing to do any other. For me personally, it had to be a natural protocol. So I chose the nutritional, good nutrition, God's way to do it.
And when you talk about the cortisol as well, Patrice, some of the signs that we actually pay attention to when it comes to cortisol and the hormone levels are imbalances, we gain weight around that midsection. Even the face appear a lot more rounder, and then we have these cravings that come from out of nowhere, and particularly for carbs. And so when we find ourselves craving carbs, like desperately craving carbs, we notice we're gaining weight just in our face. If you're the person that has that long, slender face, and you notice all of a sudden your face is rounding out, you now want to take the approach of, listen, I need to put down all of the diets. It doesn't matter if you starve yourself. It doesn't matter if you decide to lower your calories. When you're dealing with cortisol issues, hormonal imbalances, you have to first address that. And so if you find yourself being stressed or worrying, because stress can look like anxiety, it can definitely look like
I'm rushing to work,
right, exactly.
Being afraid, having so much going on in your life, and even physically, even with the exercises. One of the things that I had to deal with, I remember when I I didn't know I was going through the menopause, but I was preparing to run the marathon. And my doctor had said to me, no, I don't want you running the marathon. And I said to him, you don't understand. When I'm stressed, I gotta run. Running, and I can run miles and miles and miles. That keeps me sane. And he said to me, I prefer that you do not. Well, one day, I went running. I remember when I told my doctor, I parked at, I think that's Saunders Beach, and I ran straight to Goodman's Bay and back. And he was like, well, you shouldn't do that. When he told me that, I was like, you don't understand. I went running the next time on Goodman's Bay. My heart started to palpitate. And when my heart started to palpitate, I was so afraid because I thought I was going to have a heart attack. And let me tell you, I listened to my doctor. Now we have yes. Hi, Stephanie. We want to say welcome. Welcome to Menopause, the Dialogue, and welcome to all of you who have joined in. We are talking about weight loss, what that looks like on us, and for each of us it looks different. We've been talking about weight loss, the weight gain itself. We've been talking about how you gain the weight, the causes of weight gain during this time. We're looking at the various hormones. We've just talked about the cortisol, and there's so many more hormones that are responsible.
And even as we continue to talk about the nutrition aspect of it, one of the things, because this is a major part of it, because we're talking nutritionally, I always ask my client to increase their organic leafy greens. And the reason why I say organic leafy greens is because we're dealing with hormone imbalances. And believe it or not, when it comes to leafy greens, these leafy greens are grown with herbicides and pesticides, and these are considered endocrine disruptors. And so again, that will cause the hormones to become more imbalanced. So it's so important when you want to increase your soluble fiber as well as insoluble fiber, you make sure you go the organic route, because again, you are now approaching weight loss from a different perspective. You're thinking, balancing my hormones first. It is extremely and almost next to impossible to lose weight and keep it off if your hormones are not balanced. So we now have to really look at it differently and nutritionally. Even when we talk about nutrition as well, we talk about lowering your calories when it comes to a way that we eat or dieting. That will work against you if you are a menopausal woman or if you're perimenopausal, because the sex hormones in this case is not responsible for you to lose weight. So at this particular time, you are depending on your metabolic hormones, and so
they're out of whack.
Yeah, they're out of whack. It's important that you are getting in sufficient food, nutritionally dense food, and you're not eating all day.
Yes.
So,
and one of the things, okay, we talked about the cortisol.
Yeah.
The role of leptin, the leptin hormone. Because one of the things we need to understand as women, see, we go on this menopausal journey so untold. And leptin, one of the things I learned about leptin as a hormone is that is the hormone that's responsible for cessation, saying that
Satisfying you and burning fat.
yes, and saying I'm full.
Yeah.
And for many of us, that hormone is broken. That hormone sends the signal to the brain that I'm full, no more eating. And because as women, again, we're going through this hormonal stuff, they're up and they're down, sometimes that hormone cannot be found, and so we find ourselves wanting to eat a lot. I just told Shay, for the second time, I had another menstruation, 2 months in a row, when I thought I was on my way.
Yeah, when she thought she
And
was menopausal.
not only did a lot of things happen, but my craving for sweets was out of this world. And I will testify that
top.
Patrice ate.
Yes.
I went to the Swiss pastry many days, back to back.
Testify,
And
sister.
did I not eat the coconut cream pie
Oh my God.
and an almond bar? To add insult to injury, I bought an extra almond bar for somebody.
And you ate it.
Because they wasn't around, I ate it. And I didn't do that just one day. But the drive for sweets and carbs, it is real.
It is very, very real. And because we're talking about those metabolic hormones, that's the hormone ghrelin that you're talking about. That actually, see, when you compare the two hormones, the leptin hormone is really responsible. That's like what you call the fat burning hormone, and that helps you to stay satiated. So you always want to increase that hormone. The ghrelin hormone, which you had an attack of the other day, you want to decrease that because that is the hormone. That is the hormone. Yes, it's actually everything. Actually, everything is in the microbiome. All of it is in the gut, and that's how you flush it out hormone from the gut into the large intestines. And so that's how when you find the balances or you get rid of or decrease. But when it comes to the ghrelin, the hormones particularly, that is the hormone that Patrice is talking about that drove her down to the bakery place and she was eating like everything up in there.
And then you feel bad afterwards.
Yes, now that's another hormone. That's that emotional stuff. Yeah, but what we're saying really is, when we find ourselves at those difficulty plateau, when it comes to weight loss particularly, we have to separate losing weight to get healthy versus getting healthy to lose weight. And that is a major part because over the last 6 years, a part of my new platform was not just to get my clients to lose weight, but to get them to keep it off. So in doing that, it's important that we're teaching you, giving you the tools and the education to actually help you understand this whole hormonal balancing, how it actually looks different for when you are having a menstrual cycle versus not having a menstrual cycle. When Patrice was actually sharing just now, she had this just craving from out of nowhere because she actually had a menstrual cycle for the first time in a very long time. So Patrice is actually considered perimenopause because her cycle has not gone completely 1 year with not having it. But even in that nutritional protocol, when I'm teaching my clients for weight loss, there's two types of protocol. When you are having your menstrual cycle, and when you are not having it. Because as a part of the nutritional protocol, if I have you on what I refer to as nutritional ketosis, where the body is getting its energy from stored fat or the healthy fat that you're taking in, I do something that I refer to as carb cycling or resistant carbs, and that actually helps you mentally and emotionally go through the process of your menstrual cycle while you are on a carb restricted eating protocol. And so it does look completely different. If you are addressing wanting to lose weight, if you are considered a woman that's going through a cycle, or your cycle is actually finished. And believe it or not, Therese, in addition to that, it works the same way for men. Now they don't have a cycle,
right? Because they have hormones
Exactly,
as well.
yes.
And according to my understanding, men also go through hormonal changes in their body. I was having a conversation with a gentleman around our age about the same thing, and he was saying, yes, men go through their stuff too, their hormonal changes.
Yes, that andropause is real for them too. And just like us, where we gain weight on that midsection, men, they do the exact same thing. Now, their sex hormone looks slightly different than ours in terms of the testosterone levels and the estrogen levels, but nonetheless, once they go through andropause or midlife crisis, if you will, they're no longer relying on the testosterone to actually regulate their weight loss. And so you see that's why a lot of these men are taking testosterone and pills, or they're taking shots, they're doing hormone replacement therapies. The men are doing it just like the women are doing it. So this is not isolated to the women. And so because of that, men too, we're also saying that when it comes to addressing your weight, especially if you are suffering with this extended abdomen as men, you have to now look at the hormonal aspect. And from men particularly, because they are known to be, you know, the breadwinners of the family, they have to look at managing their stress level, because again, what you see in the front there is cortisol, hormonal weight gain for the andropause man.
Wow. And I just want to say, for those of you who are joining us, share what's going on with you. How many of you are dealing with the weight issue? Just type it in and share it, because so many of us are dealing with the weight issue. And as you were talking, Shay, I thought about the other hormone that is also a part of this big weight gain issue. It's insulin. What role does insulin play? Because you talk about the carb. What role does insulin play? Now, I think that's important.
Yeah, that is important, because when we think of hormonal imbalances, all of the separate hormones, whether it's metabolic or sex, the sex hormones or the hormones that are responsible for fat storage or fat burning, insulin again is a hormone, and it carries sugar to the blood. And so insulin is that hormone. When you actually increase your sugar intake, it actually makes you crave more sugar. So when your insulin levels are high, it becomes a vicious cycle. The more you want and crave sugar, the more sugar you eat, the more sugar you want.
That's why people are now diabetic and then become obese.
And insulin resistance, and they become obese because they crave it. And sometimes what happens is, I don't know if you hear the term sometimes, if someone says, oh, my insulin feels low, they need to have a banana. Right, they need to have that rush and that sugar fix, and that's what's happening with them. But one of the things I've learned over the years with my clients, especially getting a client to shift and to shift the hormonal rate when it comes to insulin, is teaching them more about nutritional ketosis and getting the body to rely on its energy from fat storage, because we got enough fat, man. We just gotta kick into it.
You know what? You're right. We got enough.
We got enough fat. We just gotta kick into it.
Before I ask you about nutritional ketosis, to break that down, you are right. We have enough fat to break down, because here's another confession. I shared with Shay after this binge of my having this last period that just took me out of whack. I put on weight, like my stomach distended like crazy, and literally looking, this is confession time, you could see like this cellulite on the outside, but it happened in a few weeks quickly because of what was going on. And I told Shay, I said, last week Sunday, I looked at myself and I said, no. I have worked hard last year to not just lose my weight, but maintain my weight and eat right and do what I needed to do. And one of the things I did, I'm on day 8. For about 6 days, going on 6 days, I did a water fast. And well, I had a salad yesterday. Shay did an amazing salad.
Don't be calling me for no salad. Just saying.
Listen here. And what, as I watch my body go down, I've been watching as literally my body has been using the stored fat for energy. Initially, the first couple of days, it's difficult.
Because it has to shift.
But the science of it is so real, like you said. Literally, the body can burn its own fat. We just have to be disciplined enough. And of course, you talk about nutritional ketosis. You know, we use that word ketosis and all. Talk a little bit, break that down for those who may not even know what that is all about.
Okay, so it's really the science behind shifting where the body receives and gets its energy from. So primarily, the body gets its energy from carb. That's what we know in today. And so normally when you find a person that is on a weight loss journey and they feel a little bit weak, or they feel a little bit lethargic, or they don't have energy, they immediately go for something sweet or something carb. They say, I need something like carb for energy. And so as I continue to talk to my clients about, well, if you're feeling that, take a tablespoon of coconut oil, and immediately they say, coconut oil, no shade, you understand, I need energy. And so the thought, they don't always necessarily to be able to connect, but nutritional ketosis simply is allowing your body to be depleted of all of the stored carbs. That's one. And once the body is depleted of the stored carbs, then the body immediately say, hey, wait, I need some energy. And so the body then turns to whatever is left, and that is fat.
One of the things that I found interesting, I did the ketosis.
The keto diet.
Keto diet, yes. Now, what I found so interesting that was so retro as far as what we learned is that you had to eat fats. But good fats. When my daughter was home and she was fixing some food and put a lot of butter in, I'm like, no, we can't do that.
That goes against like everything that I've learned.
Explain that part of the ketosis, you know. And I think for me that was emotionally and mentally hard to wrap my mind around. That I could eat all of this fat. Mind you, it was good fat.
Let's explain that.
The butter, lots of avocado. Now, avocado, I don't mind indulging in things like avocado. I use lots of coconut oil or whatnot. And the fact that you cut carbs, eat a lot of fats, seems so contradictory.
It's like almost counterintuitive if you really think about it, because you know you don't really understand the science, but that science is what helps us naturally to adapt to what our body will do. And so the body adapts, and it adapts naturally. So if the carb source is depleted, it will naturally go and would take energy. And this is why the science behind hibernation for all of these years in the animal kingdom works, and they don't starve. You know, and they come out from being hibernated for 4 or 5, 6 months, and they come out with a burst of energy, and they could go and they could kill other animals to go ahead and to restore all of what it is that they need in terms of their nutrition. So the body does what it needs to do on its own without our help. We interfere by adding in all of this refined carbs that the body is not really designed to break down, Patrice. And so that's how we get into a place where we are obese. And the fact is, our body naturally in tandem will break down and use fats, healthy fats, to burn fats and to help us to release weight. And in addition to that, you will actually have real energy, just as if you ate a Snicker bar, but you won't have the crash and burn because it's real energy. And this is how nutritional ketosis actually help you not only to release the weight, but also to keep it off. And so when I look at this in totality, we have to look at nutrition as a major role that influence keeping your weight off when we talk about the hormonal changes in weight loss. So we got another one of the bowl in there.
Okay, I have another question. So even, and I think this is important to know, you do look at nutrition as for weight loss and weight gain during this time. But doesn't mean that you have to stop. I think that is important for people to know.
Oh, Patrice, no. That is...
We don't stop.
No, that's so important.
Please explain that.
If anyone knows me, you know, I'm an eater. I
she
eat.
Enjoys
and I
eating.
eat, And you know, we're streaming today on 2 of our platforms, Menopause, the Dialogue, and Eat Emotionally Well. And that channel is really all about getting you to connect the dots about what you eat, when you eat it, and how you feel when you eat what it is that you eat. And it is super important. I can tell you this, starving, not eating to lose weight was one of those things that would work when Patrice and I both modeled when we were in the competitions back in the day. That was a part of what we did. But when you are menopausal or perimenopausal, it is super important that you release your weight through balancing your hormone and through nutrition. And that really involves eating healthier choices and healthier foods. Now, there are a couple of things we tie that into when we look at the overall weight journey of that, but I don't want to go into that because Patrice had that in the fishbowl. And
Yes.
I'm looking at your fishbowl.
I'm about to nudge up. Not yet.
But we'll talk about that tomorrow in the fishbowl. So what's the other
The
question?
third question out of the fishbowl is, what role does disregard play in women during this time?
Oh wow, Patrice, that is so powerful and loaded.
Yes.
Now, let me first say this. We come from a small island nation like the Bahamas, and we are a spiritual set of people. We believe in God. We tie God into most of us, almost everything it is that we do. But I want to say this, women and men. Menopause is a natural process that we go through. It does not serve you any good, emotionally as well as physically, to deny, to ignore, to ward off, to pray off,
cancel,
or rebuke. That's it. That's the word I was looking for. Or rebuke menopause. Okay. Now, while both Patrice and I believe in the whole approach behind speaking into existence and not speaking things over you, we understand that approach. But it's so important for you to understand that this process is natural and it's real. So what's going to help you in this process is continue to educate yourself, continue to get the tools that you need, because this process is naturally, and especially for the women that are married, because I'm telling you, your husband's calling me and Patrice, and let me tell you why they're calling us, because they don't quite understand themselves, because you're not getting the information and the education that you need to educate him so he can come off your back. Because he really thinks that you're ignoring him, you're being this person that is irritated all the time. He thinks that you are just having this moment because you decide that you are just going to rebuke and to cancel and to pull down all the strongholds with menopause.
And then we get angry at them when honestly, when the man have an issue with our weight.
Right.
And if you, as a woman, do not tool yourself for this part of the journey of your life, then you are responsible. I saw a question from somebody asking, what kind of food should we eat to balance?
Yeah, I think so.
I saw it, but it went off the screen.
So we were talking, and thank you so much for joining us. We are talking about the nutritional aspect of when it comes to it. But let me just say this: there is no one food that you would eat. Now, one of the things I talk about is when you're talking about balancing hormones, you definitely want to eat foods that are more nutritionally dense. And what that means is you don't want to kill the natural enzymes in your food. You want to have your food in its uncooked state as much as possible so you can get the enzymes and the fiber. Even when we talk about juice, a lot of persons sometimes when they're thinking about losing weight, they may go to juice. But when you compare even just using commercial juice versus juicing your carrots or your cucumber, it actually makes a difference, because those live enzymes, when you actually take fresh fruits and juice them, those enzymes are going to be responsible for balancing the microbiome in your gut, which is actually going to help you to balance your hormone and to actually release the weight. So you want to look at nutritionally dense food. You want to look at foods that has a lot of soluble and insoluble fiber. And there are also little hacks that I like too. When you talk about balancing the hormones, if you're having cravings, I like to look at resistant starch foods, and that is foods that will mimic foods that are high in starch, but it's not digested in the small intestine. Green bananas is one of them. Green bananas is one of them. These are carb foods, but you want to keep them green. And so what you do is, I would normally use resistant starch foods in things like smoothies, because you can blend them right in and you get the carb effect. As a matter of fact, that's what I was drinking before you came in.
And she didn't give me any.
No, she didn't ask for any.
Yes,
Don't mind her. She's still on her her 8-day thingamajiggy. No? You on that?
Yes,
You think you slick. You
but
just
I
think-
want some.
Okay, I'll give you some in a minute. Okay, you see how we just, well, actually we didn't digress because we were talking about food. But when it comes to food, it's important that you look at food in its totality,
Yes.
and you look at it holistically, and you have to now think, sometimes women or people say in generally, man, I don't really have to be buying all these organic food. The thing is this, there are some foods like leafy greens that you have to be eating organic. And foods like pineapples, no, you don't have to be eating organic. So you want to change out and look at that. Even on our page, Menopause the Dialogue on Facebook, we actually have what we refer to as an alternative food combining chart where it shows you which foods to combine together to actually help you to balance your hormones and the digesting food, and well as looking at the foods that are on the dirty dozen list and the clean 15 list that you should be using organically to balance your hormones as well. So thank you for the question.
And personally, I know I got my act together when it came to my weight last year. Going with the fluctuation and my fluctuation. I had an incident before last year, Thanksgiving. I went on the scale. I had never seen that weight in all my life on me.
Wait, what's it, Patrice?
And
Sister Share.
no way.
I know, like
I was so shocked. I never dreamt I could weigh that amount.
And not be pregnant.
Yeah,
Right.
even when I was pregnant, I wasn't even that, ooh, yes. That's the most I will say about that weight.
Okay.
But I was like, no. And I began the journey last year. And one of the things that I've been able to, and we'll talk about the role of exercise next in our other question. But for me, just the first part was getting my nutrition together. And how did I personally get my nutrition together? I began eating live foods. When I say I put down carbs, I put down carbs. It wasn't easy, but it was a process. Yes, yes. Even with my fruits, one of my problems was I like to eat a lot of fruits. I could get up in the morning. Prior to that, I get up in the mornings and I eat fruits. I could fruit binge, literally. But understanding that was still sugar. My body was still breaking that glucose down, releasing once it gets into the bloodstream, insulin, storing fat, etc. And I realized, okay, you know what? I've got to do this different. So I eat less of the sugary fruits. I eat more of the berries because they have less calories. Then I eat, just like you said, the greens. I eat lots of salad now, but I've learned to make my salad so delectable. Thank God for this woman here. Listen here, salads can taste good. Shay does these sauces. She made a nut something pesto the other day. What Shay does, she makes magic with food. And so
that food is what we live for. And if we're going to eat it, it has to.
You might as well enjoy it.
You might as well enjoy it. And I like when you talked about, I just want to add to something you said when you talked about the fruits and you lean more towards the acid fruits, like the berries and stuff. That another hack that I have, and I call these hack or tips, if you will, when it comes to balancing your hormone and using nutrition is, because I'm a fruity just like you are, Patrice, and some of you may be watching and listening to us today, love fruits the same way. One of the things what I did was, when it came to fruit, was I would only have fruits for breakfast or lunch if I'm having fruits, and then I wouldn't have fruits anymore.
Not in the evening.
Not in the evening at all. So once I ate something cooked for that day, I didn't have fruits at all. Now, if I was doing raw, like I do every year in January,
I was just going to say,
30 days.
Shay teaches you, she did a 21-day raw last year.
This 2021 girl.
Oh, this year.
Yes, this year.
That's right. Listen here. You have sweets. She did a banana cream pie.
Girl, you're a foodie.
Pure joy.
Yes.
With only good food. Shay, there's so many other things that she has done.
That's the hack. if you are doing raw, you can get to enjoy your fruits. And see, this is ways where I teach you really how to be able to eat your food, what I call responsibly, and not gain weight from it, because food
You're gonna need that.
Yeah,
I promise
food is what we do. And let me tell you, there's no one way. All of these different ways, I call them eating trends, I call them how we eat or when we eat, what we eat. All of these are ways to help us, particularly for that mature man and woman. And if you're just joining us, that's what we're talking about today, talking about connecting the bridge between the hormonal man and woman that is mature, that is suffering with the issues of weight loss, you know.
Yes.
Not
weight loss,
yeah,
weight gain.
Yeah, weight gain,
And
yeah.
you know what? I just thought about another hack, intermittent fasting.
Yes.
Talk about that. You taught me that.
There are a number of hacks. Now, intermittent fasting is not necessarily what you eat, but it's when you eat, and it's just the science behind not eating your food throughout the day. So for example, when you intermittent fasting, what you do is out your 24-hour clock cycle, you want to close in the eating time. And so even if you're eating, let's say you're eating 1,500 calories that day, instead of spreading out that 1,500 calories to 10, 12 hours, what I teach you is to eat that same 1,500 calories, but you intermittent fast. And what that means is you tie it into a shorter eating window, like 6 to 8 hours. And just that small change will actually help you to continue to release weight and maintain your weight as well.
And you know, she's so scientific with it. Let me tell you how I do it. Let me tell you the layman's way to do it. For me, it was 1 o'clock was when I began to eat. Or when I get up in the morning, I do not eat. I will drink water. I will take my chaga and gano. I may take, I do some turmeric as well, but I do not eat until 1 o'clock. My window is from 1 till 7.
So that's a 6 hour
Sometimes
window.
it's 6.
Right.
Very rarely 6, but 7, from 1 to 7. That's the window I eat, and then even in that window, I do not just eat anything. I did not just eat anything.
Right.
I ate well.
Right.
And so after 7 o'clock, I did not eat. The next time I ate was 1 o'clock the next day.
Right.
You give your body time to break down, use the fuel, etc.
Right. And to rest and to do all that stuff. Good job, Tracy.
Yes.
Loving it.
You have to. You have to do it, or you will be obese.
Yeah.
The thing is, this is a natural process. This is true that what we are going through. So we might as well tool ourselves as to how we can be, excuse me, we can be the best us, best version of us, even during this process.
On that note, we're going to take a break and we will be right back. So please stay tuned to the end of the show. We're going to wrap up with some more hacks on weight loss and menopause. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
More than 50% of mature adults living in the Bahamas and the Caribbean show visible signs of photoaging due to sun exposure. Nowadays, in addition to the sun, there are other factors that can contribute to old-looking skin, such as bad Bahamian average diet, constant stress, excessive alcohol consumption, not enough sleep, and yes, even smoking. If you truly want to look significantly younger and more attractive, one must take a holistic approach along with a daily skincare restorative routine. With that said, do you want amazing, super soft, tight-looking skin, revitalizing your uneven skin tone and dull complexion? Well, this already liked superfood now has a new look for inside and outside. It's Sea Moss Gel. So whether you're a mature woman or man, say hello to your skin's new best friend. Glowing Skin Sea Moss Gel Facial Mask. Available now.
Do you know what you are putting on your skin? 93% of wrinkle creams and body lotions contain dangerous ingredients. Some cause more damage than good. Many skincare ingredients can actually cause more wrinkles on your face and body. Look at your labels. Can't pronounce the ingredients? Join the club. More than 85 of the most common skincare ingredients in North America are either banned or on the blacklist in Europe. Ever wonder why some European brands are so much more expensive? Many of them use natural ingredients instead of cheap chemicals. Ingredients that feed your skin instead of aging your skin. There is one brand that has gained attention because it uses a centuries-old blend. A blend that has been used since the time of Cleopatra. A Mediterranean blend used to keep her face and body looking much younger and beautiful. The same time-tested blend is now available to you. It's called Pure Garden Serum. This 100% organic serum is a sophisticated blend of organic plants and gentle oils, like organic almond seed, organic sesame seed oil, organic calendula, and many other organic plants and essential oils designed to target the signs of aging, along with a highly concentrated blend of organic plant stem cells from widely studied, clinically proven arnica plant. When you have the right type of plant stem cells, they can help boost your skin cells to reduce the appearance of deep wrinkles, fine lines, age spots, and even skin discoloration on both the face and all over the body.
Chaga and Gano are medicinal mushrooms. They've been used in traditional Chinese and Japanese and Korean medicine for thousands of years. The Canadians and the Russians, they especially use the chaga in their medicine for cancer. Chaga and Gano are what scientists call adaptogenic herbs. Adaptogenic herbs are anything God has created that when you put it in your body, it does more than one thing. Whatever's too high in the body, pressure, cholesterol, sugar, your immune system is going to bring it down to where it needs to be. And whatever's too low is going to bring it up to where it needs to be. Chaga and Gano literally creates balance in the body. They clean and nourish the blood. They eliminate parasites out of the body. They help with vision, memory, and concentration issues. We have lots of people Chaga and Gano helps to sleep. If you have issues and you get up in the morning and you're always tired, Chaga and Gano will give you energy on a daily basis. If you're constipated, you'll get cleared up. If you have circulation issues, we've seen persons with respiratory issues healed. We've seen persons with tumors healed. Open wounds that have been open for months at a time, Chaga and Gano has closed. Chaga and Gano again creates balance in the body. It acts as a tonic for the organs, the liver, the kidney, the nervous system, the heart, keeps the walls of the arteries clean. Chaga and Gano is very much like a one-stop shop for the body. We've had persons with arthritis pain and inflammation tell me they don't have those pains anymore. They're walking when they couldn't walk, now they go for walks, all using the Chaga and the Gano.
From my kitchen to yours, welcome to the new taste of sea moss gel. Create creamy milkshakes and superfood fortified weight loss green smoothies. 3 truly delicious flavors: Mint Majesty, Spice Fusion, and our summer flavor, Mango Splash. You're going to love the new taste of sea moss gel. Available at Shea King's Eat Emotionally Well in Nassau, Freeport, Andros, and Exuma. Are you a mature woman? Do you think you could be perimenopausal and experiencing so many changes on your period, like longer cycles, heavier bleeding, vaginal dryness, and even a strange odor at times? Well, we're asking you to make the switch and experience the difference with our 100% organic sanitary napkins with ultra soft cotton surfaces that is toxic free, fragrance free, bleach free, and eliminate odors. Experience your period in a whole new all natural comfort. So if you are a mature woman and could be starting perimenopause, make the switch and your body will thank you. Period.
Welcome back. We have been talking about weight loss and how it looks different on each of us. We've been talking about we've connected the weight loss to the hormones, the various hormones. We've been talking about the various hacks, nutritionally, the various hacks that we can use. Now we have another question in the fishbowl that I've been trying not to go ahead of myself, and I want to take this up. Now, I think this question you women are going to love, okay? And the question is, what is the role of exercise? Every woman loves to exercise during menopause. And how you exercise.
Yeah, I love that question, Patrice. That is loaded.
Yes.
The role. First of all, should we be exercising during menopause? Now, I've come across a lot of mature men and women that says that they know the fact that exercise play a small role when it comes to weight loss, generally speaking. However, when it comes to the perimenopause woman and man, andropause, exercise play a significant role in weight loss because
You need all the help you
yeah,
can
you
get.
get right.
Plain and simple.
Because when we think about it now, exercise actually releases endorphins, and those endorphins actually is the feel-good hormone as well. Leptin
Yes,
is released from
serotonin,
exercising.
yes.
So when you talk about the fat burning hormone, it releases through exercise. Now it looks differently. So it isn't exercise as usual. Now I know when Patrice and I was 20, we ran the marathon, we did all of the cardio, the hour and a half on the treadmill. Now I'm about to say something that's going to shift your whole entire thinking and psyche when it comes to exercise. If you are mature, male and female, perimenopause, still seeing your cycle, andropause, menopause, you do not want to overdo on cardio. Do not.
You know what?
Yes.
I learned that. Prior to this, I would beast mode in exercise.
Yes, right.
Beast
The man
mode
beast
because
mode.
because it feels good, the adrenaline rush and the running and whatnot. But I learned, and I learned this from my body,
Right.
because of what my body has been going through with this perimenopause state. I learned I had to be more gentle on my body.
Yes, and because you're female.
Yes. I had to be, and yeah, because it was too much, and I naturally enjoy pushing myself when I
Right.
exercise. I truly, that may seem crazy, but I enjoy pushing myself to the max. But understanding that my body has been going through this process, sometimes I'm having issues sleeping. Like this morning. Let me give you an example.
Give us an example.
Now, I went to bed,
Uh-huh.
and please don't hold this against me. That's my disclaimer. I went to bed late last night, but before I went to bed, because I didn't exercise yesterday, I was like, I'm getting my exercise in. 11:30 something, before 12, I am exercising. So I went to bed, I went to bed around, it's like right after I went in the bathroom, took a bath, and then went to bed. I got up this morning, 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
I was pushing it, but I wasn't pushing it as bad. But what I do now with my exercise is that I tone it down, because I understand it's already brutal for my body. There are
Right.
times I'm not sleeping
Right.
well at all. And so, yes, I need the exercise,
Right.
but then I need to create that balance.
Yeah, you have to create that balance. And you see the exercise, Patrice said at 11 o'clock, that's what not to do. Just putting that out there.
Like that's my disclaimer.
to do.
Again, remember I'm on this 8-day thing, because of what has happened
Right.
last month. So I have to do damage control.
Yeah.
I literally saw my stomach just explode, and I don't know, that just
And
seems so
Patrice,
crazy.
you know something? I'm happy that you're saying this, because this here is a part of connecting emotionally to the whole journey, because just like you said you have to do damage control. The thing is this, when we find ourselves gaining weight and putting on weight, the damage control has to first to be step back. When we used to figure we're going to do everything, that is actually work against us. We need to do the opposite. We need to step back and decide, okay, what is going to be the approach? Should I do this or should I do this? But going on all of the extremes is the last thing you want to do, because what happens is when you go on all of the extremes thinking that you're doing damage control, you're actually doing damage. And what happens is as soon as your body settles down, all of a sudden, boom, you're going to blow right back up again.
Yes.
So that's the last thing you want to do. So if you get into a time like I did this weekend in Grand Bahama, I ate Grand Bahama. I came home And I immediately say, Shay, you know what to do.
Yeah.
So now I am doing raw keto. So I am on a keto journey, but I'm doing raw because raw works for me. And one of the things I also learned is once you've had a lot of refined carbs and your body has just consumed all of those carbs, the last thing you want to do is go on a complete fast. You do not want to do that. Why? Because your sugar is not stable. So you have to allow the transition from eating all of those carbs and going into an eating protocol like raw or a low carb diet, not necessarily keto, but a low carb approach. So your body will have the 2-3 day to transition without having the shakes and the cravings and the crash, and then you can still lose weight. So it's important when you think of, okay, listen, I gain all this weight, don't just go do everything because that will work against you. And because we're talking and tying it into exercise particularly, don't go run 10 miles. You don't want to do that. That's the last thing you want to do. As a matter of fact, we talk about HIIT, H-I-I-T, and it's high intensity interval training. And what that means is you're going to train at high intensity for short periods of time. It actually works better for you if you do somewhere between 15, no more than 30 minutes. That's right, 30 minutes. And that includes your warm up and warm down when you are transitioning in terms of balancing your hormone to lose weight. Because remember, exercise does release the leptin, right?
Yes.
However, if you overdo the exercise, then the cortisol will
stress hormones,
start to release, and so
yes.
it will now become counterproductive. So it's very important how you exercise. One of the things that worked for me is boxing. Patrice and I both box.
Yes,
because boxing, we do a short amount of rounds. Hi, Coach Renee. We do a short amount of rounds, and we do it at high intensity level. So boxing works for us.
It works. And I just
right.
boxed. I boxed also this morning. Oh, we can box. We literally can box.
We're doing boxes.
Yes, a whole year plus. And I think that is also important too for people to understand that because menopause is a journey, a long journey. Even your eating, how you eat, like I said, it was last year I finally got the science down and I've been consistent with my weight. But how have I been consistent? Every time I get a spike, just like I've had a spike, just like Shay said, I step back and I go back and I do what I need to do. And for me, like I said, I went on a water fast. I'm on day 8 now. I did eat salads these past couple of days. And I'm going to continue for, if I need to do another 7 or 8 days until I get my weight back. But this is how we create a balance and not go overboard.
Right.
Because women tend, one of the studies show that in America, women between 40 and 60, they put on like 15 pounds. I know here in our country, it's more than that. And again, we have to learn to manage it, but we have to tool ourselves. And Shay, the final question.
Dun, 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 dun.
What are some of the common mistakes women make when they're trying to lose weight during this time?
Oh wow, I want to start with
we just had a conversation off air.
That's a good question, Patrice, because I want to springboard just from what you were saying just now. One of the things we do right away is when we gain weight, we figure we have to go into a crush, like right away mode where we have to just do everything drastic, and we go from eating everything to not eating anything. This is not the path you want to take. Because what happens in that transition process is you are actually, when you go from eating all of those carbs to not eating at all, somewhere in between that 24 hours, that 48 hour, your body is going to respond as if you were a drug addict. You're going to respond with the cold sweats, the chills, the nervousness, even headaches as well, because anytime you're actually transitioning with any type of diet, headaches will be it. But if you go from one extreme to the next too quickly, you would have that withdrawal effect. And that withdrawal effect will actually make someone think that you're ill. You will feel flu-like symptoms. So that is not one of the things you want to do. You want to transition gradually. So don't go from eating a whole bunch of food to completely eating nothing. That's not the path you want to take. You want to use that period of time to transition.
But that's what we do when we're about to fast.
I know, right? But yeah. And so when I do my 21-day cleanse, I always say to them, you don't want to do that. You want to prepare and
Your
gradually.
body
Right.
Yeah, we need to learn to be more gentle
with
our bodies.
Because it also helps us to keep the weight off. You see, the thing is that approach where we just eat everything and then we go on a fast, and then while we're on the fast, we start to think about what we're going to eat when we come off the fast. That approach is what causes us the yo-yo effect, where we gain weight, lose weight, gain weight, lose weight. And so when I talk about telling my clients how we keep the weight off, these are some of the tools and stuff that I teach my clients, because you see the long-term benefit of
and that's what we're
maintaining
looking
the
for.
weight loss. Yeah,
Because
that's
that
one
was
of the
my
things.
issue too.
Right.
The yo-yo weight. And watching you, you have been a good example for me. You have been consistent with your weight for many years now. And just watching what you do, how you do, I realized that you have mastered maintenance.
Yes.
And because you've mastered maintenance, you do what it takes. Not you're like everybody else. We have our days, we have our moments, but you fall. The Bible said fall down 7 times, but you get back up. And so just like you said, you went to Freeport, but now you know what you have to do. And if we manage the weight like this, then we're able to have better control.
Right.
When we were off air, I was telling Shay in regards to this question, common mistakes women make during this time when it comes to losing weight. I know for me, I love nuts. And so I would binge on nuts.
Yeah.
But Shay had a twist to it that she was explaining to me, because I will put on weight when I eat a lot of nuts. And I promise you I'll buy the large bag, not the little bag.
All of us, right?
You remember about the true nuts? When I
right, because they're attached, right.
Yes. I go, I need prayers.
And because we look at nuts as a snacking food.
Yeah.
Now I can tell you one of the things that I changed over the last 7 years. I now look at nuts as food. I don't look at them as snacks. And so I was saying off air, when I do my 21 days raw, I eat a considerable amount of nuts. Now, if you're eating nuts and you're eating them with all live and raw foods and tons of leafy greens, I eat anywhere from 6 to 8 cups of leafy greens a day. The amount of nuts that I normally eat, if you're eating that amount of nuts along with a traditional diet, you will gain weight.
Yes.
You will gain weight.
Yeah, with cooked foods.
Right,
And
right.
that I found interesting. Because yes, on the 21-day raw, we were eating lots of nuts. And I remember thinking about that, we're eating a lot of nuts. But then we were losing weight.
Exactly.
But normally, when I wasn't on the 21-day raw and I'm eating normally, I am eating cooked foods, then
you're snacking with nuts.
Yeah.
Plus, another hack when it comes to nuts is, I find that when people eat nuts, they will tie it into something sugary as well. Either the nuts are coated with some syrup, or they're eating them with some raisins, or eating them with something else sweet, some dried cranberries. Herein lies another problem. If you're eating nuts is a high fat and a protein food. So if you're eating high fat, never combine it with sugar, because that is the recipe for weight gain and to help you to eat more sugar. So you have to eat nuts alone or eat them raw, and don't eat them when you are eating any other type of cooked food. So there's a way that you eat your nuts.
Yes.
Especially if you love nuts.
And
that's one of those most big mistakes.
Yes. Are there any other hacks that we need to become aware of?
Yes. Another thing we do is we eat a little bit of food all day.
Yeah. Oh, you don't give the stomach a chance to
rest.
To rest.
And that's tied into intermittent fasting as well.
Yeah.
Now, I remember one of my clients said to me, so I said, tell me what it is you eat. Shay, I don't eat much. I don't eat much. So I said, tell me what it is you eat. She said, well, I start my morning coffee. She said, I don't have sugar in it, but I have a little bit of creamer with no sugar in it. And I start about 7:30.
Yeah.
And she said, I may have the most 3 crackers with it. This is what she was saying to me around 7:30.
Yeah.
And she says, I don't eat lunch until about 12 o'clock. And she said, if I have lunch, I'll have a piece of chicken breast and I'll have a really big salad. And then she says, for dinner, I will probably eat some more salad and then I'll probably have a piece of fish. She said a very small little bit of fish. And then she said, later on before I go to bed, I'll have an apple. Now, in her mind, she ate well and she ate perfectly.
Yes.
In my mind, she was eating to gain weight.
Yes.
And that's exactly what that example will do. You will gain weight because she's eating a little bit all day. So one of the hacks is all of that food we described right there, I will change the way she ate that and I will eat that in a short amount of time. First, I will start with the apple and the coffee. Do away with the crackers.
No crackers.
Do away with the crackers. Crackers is safe
I don't know
in a package.
why. I'm going to talk on my mommy right now.
Yeah, go ahead and talk on your
My
mommy.
mommy has her crackers too, and I don't have a lot of sugar, but then she would take a little bowl of crackers and she would eat her crackers.
Sugar.
The body breaks that down into glucose. So no matter what you say, and a lot of times we don't understand, and I have customers
So
like
much
that.
sugar.
Yeah, they don't understand that. And when I ask them to describe what a day of your eating looks like, when they begin and they tell me about the grits and the this and the that,
But they don't have a lot of sugar.
right? And then you're able to, and after they go through just a whole day, and I let them, I said, from the beginning of your day to the end of your day, and after they've gone through their description, then I'm able to pull out things, because a lot of times we have these habits we're not aware of.
Right.
And again, you going through this journey of menopause, you need to tool yourself.
Yes.
Obesity, diabetes is real.
Yeah,
and
it is.
too many, and one of the research shows that women, when they are 65, by the time they're 65, they put on even more weight than the ones from 40 to 60. And you hear women, they can't breathe, they're moving and they can't breathe, there's so much fat around here. And again, we can do something about it, but again, it begins with education.
Yeah.
We've talked about the weight, we've tied in the hormones, we've talked about the different hormones that affect your weight gain, what they do. We've talked about the hacks, the nutrition, the exercise, what you can do. These are literal tools that you can use to equip yourself so that you can be healthier. You can be an example to younger women coming up. And another thing that we need to do, and we emphasize on this show, is that the older women must teach the younger women about what they are about to come into around the age of 40. And ladies, please, if this show has done anything for you, share. Share it on your Facebook page, share it via WhatsApp, YouTube, however. Share the video and allow other women to be able to be a part of this conversation.
Yeah, I love that, Patrice. I like how you said, I'm going to tell my mom, because our older generation, unfortunately, there's a lot of things that they did as learned behaviors that really is incorrect when it comes to, and sugar is definitely the enemy when it comes to balancing your hormone. And I like the fact that you also talked about us sharing the information, because that's what the show is about, giving people the tools really to help them on their journey. And in addition to that, what I wanted to add, Patrice, is one of my go-to hacks when it comes to the macronutrients particularly is making sure that you're eating more fats and you're ending the day with fat versus carbohydrates. So, an example of that is I would start the morning with consuming fats, and in a way it could be avocado drizzled in olive oil. One of my clients said to me today, Shay, we're not eating meat this week, so how am I going to get my fat? So I paused and I said, well, let me start off by saying, meats are not the only way that you get your fat. And then he said, well, give me some examples. I talked about avocados. I talked about olives. I talked about coconut. These are all plant-based foods that is nutritionally dense, but it also has a good source of good, healthy fats.
Yeah.
And so when you're talking about a hack, especially when you're talking about insulin resistance and changing the whole landscape of how the body receives fats for energy, you want to start the morning with fats and protein and end the evening with fats or protein. But you want to keep carbs either for breakfast or somewhere in the middle. And that does include fruit carbs as well.
Yes, good carbs. So, Shay, as we go to close, describe a day of eating with food, that a menopausal woman or anybody can follow as a good example.
I love that question. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is, because if we're on a menopausal journey and we are tying this into weight loss, the first thing you want to do is you want to train your taste buds for the day. So you want to start the morning, and this is very important, with live foods, uncooked foods. Do not start the morning with anything cooked, because that sends off signals to the brain, and immediately that's what you want for the rest of the day. So start the morning with raw foods, and that raw food can look like a smoothie. Do not think about calories, just think about the quality of the food. So start the morning off with a nutritionally dense green smoothie, right? Or even a green juice. And a green juice can be where you juice cucumbers and celery and some parsley, and then you add in some spinach or even the sea moss in that as well. Or if you do a smoothie, make sure add some coconut oil, pink salt, you want to add in sea moss, and you want to add in some spinach. That's a perfect breakfast morning. If you want to have tea, have chaga and gano, have lemongrass. You want to have herbal tea, and again, you can have tea throughout the day. Now for lunch, again, I would still stay in the live family. If you wanted something cooked, when it comes to the meat component of it, I only do seafood. So I would say some wild-caught salmon or some lane snapper. Girl, listen here, lane snapper, hogfish, margaret fish. You can pan fry it. I know we are a people that believe when you fry something it's unhealthy, but that's not necessarily the case. It's what you fry it in. So you can pan fry a piece of lane snapper in coconut oil, and of course you want to have a big bed of leafy greens. Toss in some fresh baby plum or cherry tomatoes, and then load it up with onions and bell peppers. And then of course dinner, I wouldn't have fish for dinner. I would then in turn have another big salad, and on top of that green salad, I would make a nut salad, like Patrice kind of nudged me here to do right after the show, right?
Yes.
I would do a nut salad, and that's just a combination of walnuts and pecans and bell peppers and spices. You want to add in spices in your last meal. Why? Because they will help to bring up the heart rate, the metabolic rate, and also help to burn fat as well. In addition to that is you want to make sure that everything we described right there is in an eating window between 6 to 8 hours. If you're menopausal and you're trying to lose weight, intermittent fasting is one of the biggest hacks and most effective hacks.
Yes.
And so you want to keep your eating in that eating window.
Yeah.
How did I do?
Awesome.
Good.
And listen here, I can tell you it works. We want to thank you for joining us once again for another edition of Menopause, the Dialogue.
When do we come back?
We come back April 12th. Let me get this right. I have this right
April
here.
12th. You got it.
April 12th.
You got it.
And we are inviting you, ladies. Listen, share, and then come back. Join us, set your calendars. Join us on Monday, April 12th at 6 p.m. sharp. And we're going to be dealing with, am I correct, heart health?
Yeah, we're going to be dealing with heart health.
And there's another one we're looking at for that month. But we're also looking at heart health.
Heart health and hot flashes and night sweat, how we transition and we get help with that naturally. Because even though we know there's a lot of symptoms with menopause, two of the biggest areas, particularly that most of the women Patrice and I come in contact with, is hot flashes and night sweat. So we're going to talk and dive into that a lot, including heart health, on our next episode.
God bless you. Thank you for joining us. We love you.